Good morning guys, and welcome back to another video that I'm doing. This one is on Unit 5, which is Psychology in Sports Performance, and this is Assignment 2. So Assignment 2 is called The Impact Motivation Can Have on Sports Performance. You should have done Assignment 1 by now. If you haven't, then obviously you need to get that one done first. But you need to prioritise getting any past assignments done before you move on to these new ones. Yes, you have a bit of time to get these complete, so I would rather you go back and get these done, but don't let these build up. Okay, for a lot of you, you've still got outstanding assignments. Get them done. You've got the time, there's no excuses. If there's any reason why you can't get them done, you should already be talking to me and letting me know why, so we can put in plans. Some of you already have, and you've been great, really great. And lots of you are still working really hard at home, so well done to you guys. But you should be getting these, get these complete so that we can finish off these last assignments. There's a video out now on the FMP. Other than that, there's just 2 assignments left. That's it. This is one of them. Just 2 assignments left in the FMP. So if you've completed everything up until now, there's really not a lot left to do. Considering that we've got over 2 months left still of the academic year officially, there is time, but the FMP is 6 weeks long, so it will take up a bit of time. So you've got the time to get these complete, but also don't let this build up. Okay, and for a lot of you, get it complete. Okay, so just to recap on assignment 1, to help you, prompt you for this one. If we go backwards, let's go back to assignment 1, which was your psychological demands of either, and you picked one of the 3, American football, rugby or boxing. So you picked one of these 3 and you made a leaflet. Got the wrong way, there we go. Okay, so you made a leaflet on the psychological demands of either American football, rugby or boxing. So you got to pick one of these 3 that you're interested in, and you should have talked about 4 psychological demands that you can face in that. And some of them are brilliant. I've already marked a lot of them, so please do check Moodle for your results. Some of them are brilliant. You've really talked about the different psychological demands in each of the sport, so well done to those, and for the others, make sure you catch up. And as we move on, that takes us to assignment 2, the impact motivation can have on sports performance. Okay, motivation. Now, if we were in class, we would be able to do loads of lessons on the topic of motivation, and what I wanted you to produce in this assignment was going to be a bit more creative and a bit more fun. Because of the environment we're in now, I've had to adapt it to put it down to really what the basic things that you guys can produce, because I know a lot of you don't have access to much in the ways of Office 365, PowerPoint or Word. Some of you are just down to plain paper and pens, so I've had to make it as basic as possible. That doesn't stop you having the freedom to go and produce this work however you like. Okay, as long as you get the content in, you produce whatever you want to in order to produce the work. I'm just going to say, let's just do a Word document or a written piece, a written report almost. That's what we'll call it, but don't think of it as, oh no, another 800-word report. It's not whatsoever. It's really not a lot of work in this. And it could be presented however you want. You might want to do a poster, you might want to do a leaflet, you might want to do a PowerPoint presentation. It's totally up to you what you produce here. The minimum, you can just do pen and paper if you need to, okay? But this is the impact motivation can have on a sports performance. So it is a kind of report. So the deadline is the 1st of May. So we've got just over a week and a half to complete this. And the scenario is, so how often we hear sports people claiming that their success is down to their desire to win or to mental strength? Motivation is paramount to becoming a top level performer. So think about psychological skills now. The scenario is you're now an established trainee sports psychologist, and for a lot of you are really interested in sports psychology, this would be a great theory place to be in. So you're a trainee sports psychologist, again at Canterbury Christchurch University Sports Lab. For your own personal development, the Director of Sport has asked you to research the topic of motivational methods used to influence motivation. At this stage you're going, I don't know motivation, I don't know that, and that's where we would have lessons to be able to give you that information, to be able to help you learn exactly what it is about motivation that you can use in this. I'm going to give you the two key areas that I want you to talk about, okay, and you can go back through this video to help you prepare yourself to write this report. But your task is to write what the impact motivation can have on a sports performance. So a report, the impact motivation can have on your sports performance. That's your title, that's your report title. Any sports that you think of, any sport that you enjoy, you football fans, you rugby fans, tennis fans, kickboxers, MMA fans, you get to pick which one you want to write a report on and think about the motivation that impacts, that influences that sport. Okay, so Dan Stretch has asked you to research the topic of motivational methods used to influence motivation. Research the topic of motivation. Do your own research, not just listening to me boring on and talking. Do your own research. Find out what motivation is, its definition and dimensions, the different areas. Produce a report covering the impact of motivation on sports performance and describe 2 strategies that can be used to influence motivation. 2 strategies that can be used to influence motivation. Motivation definitions, look it up yourself. Intrinsic, extrinsic, that's what I'm about to tell you about. This is your key area. Talk about this in your report, okay? I can't say it any simpler. This is what you should be talking about. Pick your sport and talk about intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation in your report. However you want to design that is up to you. So, intrinsic motivation, what is it? Some of you will go, yep, I've learnt this before, I know what this is. Excellent, hopefully you can pull on that previous knowledge. It's a hard word to say, I often get it wrong, intrinsic, so do bear with me. But for anyone new to it, we're going to go through it. Intrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is the act of doing something without any obvious external rewards. Okay? You do it because it's enjoyable and interesting, rather than because of an outside incentive or pressure to do it, such as a reward or deadline. An example of intrinsic motivation would be reading a book because you enjoy reading and have an interest in the story or subject, rather than reading because you have to write a report on it to pass a class. Intrinsic, in is the key word, inside. Okay, intrinsic, inside. It's inside that makes you want to do it. It's your own personal interest. And loads of you do things just for the enjoyment. We always say that esports is a game. Loads of you are gamers. You're on FIFA and you're on your Call of Duties and whatever else, other games you're playing, and you're probably all laughing at me now for those are the only 2 that I can name. But you all play those for just the enjoyment. There's no external motivation for you to play it. I don't expect you to earn any money out of it. I don't expect you to get any rewards. I don't think you probably enter any competitions. If you do, great, but I imagine you play it because you just enjoy it. You have a passion for playing it, you want to play with your friends. That's intrinsic. Your motivation to turn on that console, to turn on your PS4, to turn on your Xbox or your computer and to play is because it's intrinsically motivated. You enjoy it. And intrinsic motivation is the most powerful, because if you've got a passion for it inside, you're far more able to do it, you're far more motivated to do it. Okay? So that's intrinsic motivation. So now, think about your sport. Get an idea in your head right now, what sport are you thinking of? What's my intrinsic motivation? Is there an intrinsic motivation? Most elite athletes at some point would have had an intrinsic motivation to participate in that sport. But at the elite level, they've probably got bigger extrinsic motivations. And you'll see why. There's my dog reading a book. So a sporting example of intrinsic motivation would be maybe having a kickabout with your mates down the park, because you enjoy playing football and have an interest in the sport, rather than playing because you have to be told to improve by your coach or manager. Okay, so when you go down for a kickabout with your mates down the park, that's intrinsic motivation, because you just enjoy playing football, rather than your manager or coach telling you, or earning money to do it. Okay. Extrinsic motivation, external. Intrinsic in, extrinsic out. Extrinsic motivation, things outside of you that may motivate you or control you. So extrinsic motivation refers to behaviour that is driven by external rewards, such as money, fame, grades, praise. This type of motivation arises from outside the individual, as opposed to intrinsic motivation, which originates inside. For example, this is my great example that I can think of. So Conor McGregor probably had no interest or motivation to step in the ring and get battered by Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, when he started thinking about it, he probably thought, I'm not up for that. I'm not as good a boxer as him. I'm an MMA fighter, but I'm not a boxer. I'm going to get hammered. However, when the promoter said he would earn £100 million out of the fight, suddenly his motivation went up, and he geared himself up for the fight, and he did. £100 million, I'd step in a ring with Floyd Mayweather and get battered, take a broken jaw, a few teeth out, broken nose. I'd take all that for £100 million. Now Conor McGregor is able to put up a much better fight than I am. Maybe. So it was an entertaining fight, the best of MMA versus the best of boxing. Ultimately, Mayweather won because he's the better boxer, but Conor McGregor got £100 million out of it. So his extrinsic motivation was this, to participate. Okay, there you go. If you want to re-watch the fight, do so. Okay, the criteria for this assignment. To pass, you have to do two things. Describe the impact of motivation on sports performance. So, intrinsic motivation on your sport of choice. Describe two strategies that can be used to influence motivation. So, discuss intrinsic and extrinsic. Identify what intrinsic motivations might there be, what extrinsic motivations there might be, and you're covering a pass. Yeah, not a lot of work really to get a pass in this. If you want to go for those higher grades, your merit is explain the impact of motivation and on the two strategies. So again, describe, pass, explain, merit. And guess what? For a distinction, analyse. So analyse or evaluate, very similar words that come with a distinction. Exactly the same sentence, but just a different word. So whatever you produce here is just going to be the level of detail that you go into here. So if you were to go Conor McGregor example, intrinsic motivation was that he wanted to get really fit when he was younger, found a sport that he really liked and was fighting, intrinsically loved to just fight, loved to learn all the sort of karate moves and the MMA moves that he uses, and then his extrinsic motivation is now money, is now income to support his family, etc. The cars, the houses, the lifestyle. To describe the two strategies. If you want to explain that, the impact that has, and analyse it, analyse the impact, explain the impact that those motivations have on his ability to perform, that's where your higher grades are coming in. This is not a big assignment. Okay, you do not have to produce a lot of work in order to at least pass this and even to get the higher grades. So I expect this done. Okay. after this and the FMP, you've just got one more assignment. One more. And this is not a big one, so there's not a lot of work left to do, so you have time to get caught up and get these complete. Okay, you've got so much time on your hands, there really shouldn't be any excuses to get this complete and get this done. Okay. As always, I prompt you to go to Moodle, where you can download the assignment brief for this. I go to the forum as well on the Moodle on this, where you can submit this. There is the forum where you can ask me questions if you don't want to email me. Otherwise, email me and I'll be speaking to you on the phone next week so that we can go through this. Hopefully you're watching these now so that you can start working on these pieces of work, okay? But well done to everyone who is managing at home and working away. Hope you're all okay and keeping safe. Keep at it. Hopefully I'll see you soon. We don't know when this will end, so what we can hope for is that we will see you at some point. And yeah, good luck, but keep in touch, making sure we're completing this, okay? So I want to make sure you get your qualifications still. You've worked so hard all year, let's not let it drop now, let's get it complete, okay? I expect a lot of you are bored at home, so this is a great way to keep you busy. Okay, alright guys, until the next video, speak to you soon.